All right, let's talk about building the ultimate roadmap for software quality, the test plan. Today, we're going to dive deep into the ISTQB Advanced Test Management syllabus. We'll look at how the pros take what could be total project chaos and turn it into a clear, predictable path to success. Oh man, you know that feeling, right? That last minute scramble, critical bugs just slipping right through the cracks, and the schedule and budget, completely blown. It's a stressful, reactive mess that, let's be honest, nobody enjoys. And you know what? That chaos, it almost always boils down to one single critical failure, a complete failure to plan. So today, we're leaving all that chaos behind. We're going to break down exactly how to structure a professional test plan, and we'll be using the internationally recognized ISTQB standard as our guide. All right, so let's start with the absolute fundamentals. What is test planning really? I mean, beyond just being some document you have to create, what's its core purpose in any project? Well, the best way to think about it is like a strategic blueprint for your entire testing effort. According to the ISTB framework, this is the activity where you nail down your objectives, your scope, your resources, and the schedule. It's what takes testing from just, randomly finding bugs and elevates it into a managed, predictable engineering discipline. It's a total game changer. Okay, so a great plan, it doesn't just appear out of thin air, right? It's really a process of transformation. You take in all this raw information and you basically forge it into a super clear set of instructions. So let's take a look at the ingredients you'll need. And this right here, this really highlights that core transformation. On one side, we've got our crucial inputs, things like the big picture project goals, the nitty-gritty requirements, stakeholder needs, and of course, a solid risk analysis. Then we process all of that, and out the other side comes our outputs. A detailed test plan, a really well-defined test approach, and maybe most importantly, clear exit criteria that tell us exactly when we can say, we're done. Now, let's be real. Every single project operates in the real world, and that means we're going to have to deal with limitations and, potential problems. A good plan doesn't just ignore these things, it actually embraces them. Yeah, think of these as the boundaries of your sandbox. Look, we never have infinite time, infinite money, or an army of people. We might have skill gaps in the team, or maybe there are specific regulatory hoops we've got to jump through. Acknowledging these constraints right up front is exactly what makes a plan realistic and actually achievable. And these aren't excuses, by the way. They are the parameters that define our entire strategy. So you've got all these constraints. How in the world do you focus your limited resources to get the maximum impact? Well, the answer, and honestly, the most powerful concept in modern test planning, is risk-based testing. The syllabus itself says it perfectly. Testing is our #1 tool for knocking down quality risks. And the process is actually elegantly simple, but wow, is it effective. So step 1, you identify potential quality risks, and you do this with your key stakeholders. Step 2, you assess each of those risks, and you do that by asking 2 simple questions. How likely is this to happen? And if it does happen, how bad is it going to be? That combination of likelihood and impact gives you a risk level. And finally, step 3, you mitigate. You use that risk level to prioritize absolutely everything. The most critical, highest impact features, they get the most rigorous testing and they get it first. Simple as that. Okay, so knowing all the theory is great, right? But what really separates a seasoned test manager from everyone else is knowing what not to do. So let's look at some of the classic traps you need to avoid. And the ISTQB syllabus is really clear about this. It highlights a few specific pitfalls that can just completely undermine your risk analysis and pretty much derail your entire test plan. Okay, this is the big one, seriously. The syllabus warns that missing key stakeholders during risk identification is, and I'm quoting here, very problematic. Think about it. If the people who actually understand the business impact or the deep technical complexity or the user's real perspective, if they aren't in the room, you're going to have massive, massive blind spots in your risk assessment. And right on the heels of that is a related problem, having the wrong people in the room. If your risk workshops are filled with people who are just too inexperienced or, frankly, inappropriate for the discussion, you are practically guaranteed to miss key risks. You absolutely need the folks with the expertise and the context to give you a real picture of what's going on. And finally, well, this brings us full circle, doesn't it? A plan that just pretends you have an unlimited budget all the time in the world and perfectly skilled resources, that's not a plan. It's a work of fiction. A successful test plan has to be grounded in reality. it has to acknowledge those constraints we talked about earlier and build a clever risk-based strategy within them. All right, you've seen the theory, you've seen the common pitfalls, so how about we put that knowledge to the test? I've got a few quick questions for you, styled just like the ones you'd see on the actual advanced level exam. Ready? Okay, question 1. Which of the following is the primary purpose of test planning? Is it A, to write all test cases up front, B, to define objectives and the approach to achieve them, C, to hire the test team, or D, to report bugs to developers? Think back to that definition we talked about. And the correct answer is B, to define objectives and the approach to achieve them. See, while other things might happen because of the plan, its main job, its core purpose, is to define the what, that's the objectives, and the how, that's the approach. It's the strategic doc that guides everything. All right, question number 2. When you're using risk-based testing, what 2 factors do you combine to figure out the overall risk level? Is it A, cost and schedule, B, likelihood and impact, C, team size and skill level, or D, number of requirements and code complexity? You got it. The answer is B, likelihood and impact. Just remember those 2 key questions. How likely is it to fail, and how bad will it be if it does? Combining those 2 is the secret sauce for effective prioritization. And for our final question, according to the syllabus, what is a key mistake in the risk identification process? Is it A, creating way too much documentation, B, using checklists instead of brainstorming, C, failing to involve key stakeholders, or D, setting the budget too high? The critical mistake here is C, failing to involve key stakeholders. Remember, we said your plan is only as good as your inputs. And leaving out the people with that crucial business or technical knowledge, that is an absolute recipe for disaster. The syllabus couldn't be clearer about this. And that's a wrap on our breakdown of ISTQB Advanced Test Planning. Look, by defining your objectives, truly understanding your constraints, and using a solid risk-based approach, you can create a real roadmap to quality. The big takeaway here is that planning isn't just about paperwork, it's about smart, strategic thinking. So now, go build a great plan.